The definition of a heretic is someone who does not conform to the ideas or the opinions of the masses. Heretic Parfum has moved against the grain of the traditional perfume industry, and we've decided to do something that's completely different. Heretic fragrances are composed working with all naturally derived materials. And what that means is we make these fragrances working only with essential oils, absolutes, and concretes. There is nothing sexier than the smell of these plants and flowers. When you can smell the dirt and you can smell a little bit of where these plants came from, they're erotic and enveloping, and they take you to places that nothing else can. I wanted to be able to talk about not only how beautiful the fragrances smell, but also how they affect you, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. And working with the naturally derived materials allows us to do this because they are real. It's the real thing. You can't convey the true aspects of these plants, and you can't have this conversation about mind, body, and spirit with the synthetic replicas. It's just not the same. There is making products that are safe synthetics, which is a product that is made with aroma chemicals that do not contain the phthalates, or they don't contain any of the plastics that are typically found in a lot of other fragrances. And then there's making fragrances that are naturally derived. Naturally derived fragrances mean that there is no synthetic in the fragrance. There are no aroma chemicals, and that's what we've chosen to do. Whenever I'm trying to convey the idea of what is the difference between a natural fragrance and a synthetic fragrance, I always use this analogy of watercolors and oil paints. Watercolors are sheer and they're bright and they're transparent, and there's something that's very vibrant about them. And working with natural materials when you're creating a fragrance, they do that same thing. And working with synthetic fragrance materials, they're very opaque, and much like an oil paint, they're solid and they're intense. They're just a different way of creating the same form of art, which is perfume. When making a fragrance, I don't believe that there's a right or a wrong way to do it. I think that there are two different methods, and I think that the choice of working with natural materials, the end result is something that's quite different. The odor profile, you can definitely tell that this is something that's very different than the synthetic counterpart. And that was the intent with this company, was to do something that was radically different than anything that's ever been done before. Eau de parfum is roughly about 80% alcohol to the remaining perfume material. And that's really important to think about because the majority of what's in the bottle is actually alcohol. When I took this into consideration, I really wanted to design the fragrances to be very different from the inside out. So the alcohol was one of the first things that I started to think about. Most fragrance companies work with what's called SD40 or perfumer's alcohol. And this alcohol is a denatured product. Now, denaturing, what that means is it means that they add chemicals to the alcohol to make it so that the product is no longer able to be consumed for an alcoholic beverage. The problem with that is the denaturants that are used are often quite toxic. So we've chosen to work with sugarcane alcohol to blend with. The sugarcane alcohol is wildly expensive, but it is non-denatured, and it gives us the ability of not only creating something that's clean, it also conveys this soft, almost sweet aroma that's coming from the sugarcane. Perfume remains one of the most underregulated categories in the very underregulated cosmetic industry. When you see the word perfume on a product, it's important to understand that that term gives the manufacturer the ability to hide many ingredients underneath that label. So what I encourage you to do is I encourage you to read your labels. I think that right now in this time of when people are very concerned about not only what they're putting in their body, but what they're putting on their body, that this is something to pay attention to. We are super proud of the materials that we're working with and enjoy being able to share this information. So you'll see on our product that we list all of the materials not only on the boxes, but also on our website. Before synthetics turned perfume into a purely cosmetic item like hairspray or lipstick, it once existed as this magical crossroads between alchemy, mysticism, and shamans. Just as real whole food has a completely different effect on the body than, let's say, like eating a cherry-flavored candy to eating a cherry, so do these natural materials have a completely different effect on the body and can inspire wellness and alter the way that you think and the way that you feel. These rare and authentic materials go far beyond the cosmetic department, and they venture into aspects of Ayurvedic and homeopathic medicine, mysticism, and wellness that truly synthetics could never do.